Hi, I'm John Seacott, executive editor of the Brewer Magazine. It's the Brewer Magazine podcast. You may have seen our Get to Know Us podcast that me, myself, and Tyler Montgomery, who founded the magazine of Brewer Magazine, along with being the founder of Abettor Brewing company in Winchester, Kentucky. We discussed who we are, what Brewer is all about, just to kind of get you into knowing what the podcast is all about and who we are. But we also discussed a aspect of the test kitchen, something that you read on brewermag.com in our print publication, and a special way that we like to be able to let vendors be a part of, vendors and suppliers to the brewing industry, and how they can be a part of what we are a part of, and kind of get the hands-on approach. So Tyler discusses that in this podcast. Well, and you kind of led into, talking about stuff that breweries are doing. And one of the things is that, I don't know, how long ago did we start Test Kitchen? Right when you started the brewery, right? Yeah. So about 5 years now, we've been doing what's called the Test Kitchen. And that's kind of what the focus of this podcast was on, is that you guys get this opportunity to be able to, work with vendors and suppliers to use things. And we've had stories. I know, even boots. What have been some of the stories that the test kitchen had? Boots and flavoring of, fruit flavorings.
Yeah, those muck boots back there, the tufts. That kind of kicked it off. We've done hops. We've done adjuncts. We've done. We've even done like a fruit fly trap, just because.
Yep, that one was really popular, actually.
Because those little beasts destroy our industry. Forget those things. They're a pain in everybody's butt, man. I hate those stupid things. And we're already talking about it, and spring isn't even sprung in Kentucky yet.
Right. But you got this thing called, the PLAATO Pro is become a vendor with us, and an advertiser with us. And you guys, the PLAATO Pro is something that you guys are starting to use at Abettor, and exactly, how do you use that? And I know you got kind of a little presentation to be able to help share with some people. I mean, how great has it been for you guys to be able to use?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a really good relationship with PLAATO for a while on the magazine side. And we started having a conversation and having a 10 barrel, when we were small on the barrel and a half system, there was only so much we could play with. Being on a 10 barrel system, we have so much more opportunity for these test kitchens. And I mean, the test kitchen now is kind of evolving to where we're kind of controlling how we want to see the content. It's kind of what we want to use, what we're using, and what we think about it. That's where it's going to kind of be directed. But that was the whole, one of the 2 or 3 reasons why Abettor even exists. The test kitchen for sure. But the PLAATO, it's a digital. The way I could easily describe it is it digitally tracks your fermentation. It's not going to link up right now. They're working all these things they're working on, so it's in constant evolution. But where it stands now is it's not adjusting your tip on demand, so it's not doing like a digital adjustment for you. It's going to notify you, and then you can make it. So bigger breweries that already have some of these sensors in there that they're controlling through other software. That's great, but you're talking tons and tons of money for that. This is really good for pretty much any brewery that's out there. I mean, they make even a model that's good for home brewers. But the Model Pro that we're using, the PLAATO Pro, what we did with it, we hooked it up to our 4th tank. This is also a 10 barrel tank. We've used it on 3 batches now. We used it on our Wee Heavy that we made for St. Patrick's Day. We used it for Zero, which is a red ale that's one of our flagships. And then we used it for our cider. Here, I can show the screen, actually. Yeah, so this is what it looks like when you log into the back, actually. And it kind of looks like this is where it takes you in the very beginning. So it'll show your fermenter. Of course, fermenter 4 is offline. You can change the names on all this stuff if you want. But these are the batches that we've done. So I said Wee Bit Scottish, which is our wee heavy, Fanny Cole, which is our cider, and Zero, which is our red ale. So, it immediately gives you your starting gravity. You tell it where you want to be, and then it basically tracks all of your fermentation. So we had an issue with our fermentation on this batch. We were having some temp issues because we've been fighting with the glycol chiller for the better part of 8 months. But you can tell where your spikes are, and you can set notifications so that it'll tell you exactly where, it'll alert you when you hit your final gravity or the batch is pretty much done and when you need to cold crash. So that was great on Zero. I mean, Zero was a typical beer, the turnaround time was 11 days on it. It saved us, a good 4 or 5 days in production. The Wee Bit Scottish, was pretty much on par with, most of our brewing, most of the ales that we make. And then the Fanny Cole cider was something that I think is the most unique one. And it helped us so much. Cider's huge for us. I mean, it's usually, it makes up usually our top seller inside the tap room. We don't distribute it all that much. We send it out to one local location. But that's pretty much all we do. But it's so big inside of our tap room. So getting it right was everything to us. And so what we kept running into with the Fanny Cole was the first time we made it, it was too sweet, or really sweet. I won't say too sweet because people loved it. It was really sweet. And then the second time we made it, once we hired Cody, our head brewer, it went really dry. And then, okay, so now you've got your dry people that really love it, but your sweet people are kind of really turned off by the dryness. So then we made it again. And the next time it went super sweet again. And we were like, well, how do we mitigate this and we'd like to find some middle ground. And the PLAATO Pro let us do that. We could set it, cider turns around, like I think it said 8 days. Yeah. But, we set where we wanted it to be because where we knew it would be somewhere between the dry and the sweet elements. Set it perfectly through the PLAATO Pro, and it told us. We stopped fermentation, crashed it, moved it, had it kegged in 8 days. And next thing you know, we have this beautiful cider that's a perfect mixture of sweet and dry. And now it's flying, which it was already flying, but I mean, now it's just kind of picking up speed. It's kind of, I don't know. In Kentucky, you can make cider on a brewer's license up to 6.9%. So a lot of brewers around here are doing so. We were spending a lot of money buying third-party cider or buying wholesale cider. So we ended up making it ourselves and saving us a lot of money. Ended up making a lot of money in the long term. That's it. We're now considering packaging it, selling it in-house potentially. Maybe even do some light distribution. But Country Boy Brewing, which is in Lexington and Georgetown, they create their own cider as well. And their cider, I just heard is now offered in Disneyland or Disney World, in Florida. So, they make great cider. We're all just kind of like, we're breweries, but we make cider. You got to do a little bit of everything we make seltzers and stuff too. And the seltzers will probably utilize the PLAATO Pro for that as well, just to help, those quick fermentations, kind of, it's beneficial because you don't want it to take up too much of your time, and you want to move them as fast as humanly possible because that's the goal. You don't want it sitting around in your tank because you want to be making beer again, and it's going to take minimal 2 weeks to get your ale done. We've got a favorite lager, and we've got it's going to lock up a tank for the better part of 2, 3, 4 months. So the longer we can let it sit there, the better it's going to be. But we have to have that. It locks up a fermentation tank, and so if anything we can do to keep those other 4 tanks rotating, cider and seltzers, while as brewers we're all kind of rolling our eyes. They do take up space on your tap board, and it allows you to move product faster, and then you can focus on the things that really matter to you. And they're going to bring in a different clientele, and they're going to make portions of your clientele very happy. So that's kind of the goal. I always think your tap room is so much different than what you do as a brewery in terms of distribution. Your product and how you sell your product out of house and wholesale means everything. I mean, everything relies on consistency, brand awareness, product, heck, even as having a good salesperson that's just good to your clients. Those things. It's all those things. But in-house, you have to have good bartenders, and you have to have a million options. We have to have a liquor license because somebody's going to want bourbon, somebody's going to want Tito's, somebody's going to want seltzer, somebody's going to want cider. It's like you don't really have, as an owner, you don't really have that option to be, we're a brewery, just drink our beer. That's fine, but you segment all these people that are like, oh, well, we're not going to go there because I don't want to drink beer every day. But that's where, coming back around. So the PLAATO Pro, it's really just changed our game in this. And we're only using it on the 1 tank, but I mean, it's sped up our production on one of our flagships, which is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but it's given us a better flavor profile for our cider. And it gives us just trackability that, if we have a beer that we're a little worried, we want to be very particular with, the PLAATO Pro lets us be as particular as we want to be. And the fact that they're constantly evolving and developing on this, and updating the systems, and it all works through your Wi-Fi and whatnot. It's just the setup was super easy. The PLAATO Pro team, they're great individuals, and they do a video conference call with you and help you set it up and troubleshoot. They're always just an email over a phone call away. So it's been a really pleasant trip on this, honestly.
Nice. And that's what I was going to ask you was the or I guess make a point, and then you can expound on it. If you're saving 4 days at the end of a fermentation, you're basically adding another turn on a beer every three brews, basically.
100%.
So that all of a sudden increases your production. And you're actually able to make more beer because of something like this, because you are more focused in on it. If you're going to 3 days, I think, because you were 11 versus 14, if you guys were kind of doing the traditional thing, every 3 or 4 turns, all of a sudden you're adding another barrel, whole turn of that barrel, and being able to make more beer. Have you seen that growth in production so far by using it?
We haven't seen it yet. I'm not gonna lie. This winter for the restaurant industry and brewing industry has been brutal. We're all just waiting for spring, and right now we're all just kind of angry at the University of Kentucky for going out in the first round, so we don't get to, our people aren't coming in and celebrating. But really, it will. When you can take, especially a flagship, something that you make so quickly or so regularly, when you can speed up that production, that's when, it gives you more time to think about other things. It also gives you the opportunity to just continually churn that out. It helps you in sales. It helps you in your tap room. And it does throw some fluctuations into your planning, because, you're not necessarily, really sure, you weren't used to that. And then all of a sudden, you have this on all 5 tanks and everything's flipping that fast. I mean, yeah, it could double your production, in a year, very easily. So you need to be planning. If you're going to use this, you might want to be planning for increasing cooperage or picking up some placements inside other distributors, or getting your beer out there more.
Well, that's cool.
You're going to have that opportunity.
What, and I guess I just looking at Test Kitchen for the future, is there other stuff that you guys are starting to work on that you're thinking about, or is PLAATO Pro kind of been, I know you wanted to kind of make this your baby for a while, to be able to expound on, and you've done it in writing and now doing it here with the video podcast as well.
Yeah, I mean, for the PLAATO Pro, we're going to put in a lot of work on this. It just came out in the March-April issue, so there's some good insights, an interview from our head brewer, Cody Thompson, on what he thought about it, his pros and cons, and using the system. So this podcast is a little bit of the last bit of it. But I think moving forward, we're looking at doing a test kitchen. We've got one coming up at Trucent on their centrifuge, which will be interesting. But the only difference with that one is we didn't use it in-house. So we're kind of getting the insights from another brewery, which I don't have a problem with. The test kitchen's about sharing insights and real practical information. So that's the direction we're going with this. In the future, we really want to focus on ingredients. We just changed up a malt for, again, Zero, one of our flagships, from Breweries. That's going to, we're hoping will give it more of a red hue than it already has, and a little bit more clarity. So we've started packaging that brand, and we want to make sure that using this malt is going to be helpful in keeping the same similar flavor profile that we've had, but also give it a better SRM and some more clarity and things like that. And we'll have to put it in on the PLAATO as well and see how it changes our fermentation time. But that's directions we're going to go in the future. We're going to more control in-house what we talk about, and use it just kind of like every day is really a test kitchen. Every day we come in here. So
don't forget, you can always check on brewermag.com. You can also see us on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify. And don't forget daily updates on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I'm Executive Editor John Seacott for brewermagazine.com.